I would like you all, please, to sing loud and strong. Try to pretend that the deity is hard of hearing and that he wants to hear you. So let it come out. No one has to be ashamed or shy. Don't be bashful. Sing loud and strong. That enthuses me and encourages me to give the best possible class that I can, because I know that you're absorbed and you're interested and you want to really gain much. This is the way it has been for the past few classes, and I hope it will be the same for this class. Without any further ado, we can begin. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yasoda Nandana Vajjana Ranjana Yatoda Nandana Vijayanarangana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramu, Ramu Ramu, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramu, Ramu Ramu, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Perfect. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajaka Astatora Satya Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantagoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premsakaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamkun Radhakunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhamma Ki Jai. Mathura Dhamma Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadip Dhamma Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dhamma Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai. Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. As it is mentioned, I will be speaking on verse number 11 of the 10th chapter, but I would like to just repeat the translation only of the 10th verse, and then we will go to the 11th. We can do them together. Will they be on the screen, the verses? They are. Wonderful. Okay, let me just I'll just do the English at this point. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Please repeat. to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love. Now, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Now we go to the next verse, and I will begin with the Sanskrit. You can read this. It's got a lot of glare here. Tesham evanukam partham aham agyanajam tamaha nashyam yatma bhavasto yanadipena basvata Tesham evanukam partam aham agyanajam tama nashayam yatma bhavasto yanadipena basvata Tesham evanukam partam aham agyanajam tama nashyam yatma bhavasto yanadipena basvata. So who is senior most here? Anybody who is very senior? You should chant the verse if you would like to. Yeah, please. And who is senior? Who is initiated disciples first, please? Yeah. Next.
Am agya jam tama nasyami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhavasvata.
Tesham evan kampartam agam ajnanam jam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata.
Tesham evanukam partham aham agyanajam tamaha nasavyami atma bhavasto jnana deepena basvata.
We can have the ladies now, please. Matajis, please. Don't be shy.
Aham ajnanajam tamaha nashyami atma bhavasto jnana dipena bhasvata.
Tesham anukampartham aham jnanajam tama neshamya atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhavasta.
If you want to just raise your hand, and the devotee will come and bring the microphone to you.
Tesam evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tama nasayami atma bhavasto gnanadipena bhasvata.
Tesam evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nasayami atma bhavasto gnanadipena bhasvata.
Word by word meanings now. My glasses. See this correctly. Tesham, for them. Eva, certainly. Anukampa, artam, to show special mercy. Aham, I. Agyana, jump, due to ignorance. Tamaha, darkness. Nashayami, dispel. Atma, bhava, within their hearts. Staha, situated. Jnana, of knowledge. Dipena, with the lamp. Bhasvata, glowing. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Good. Translation. To show them special mercy. Krishna is speaking, by the way. To show them special mercy. Not yet. Let me go through it and then we'll do it that way. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Please repeat. To show them special mercy. I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Purport. When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda Sarasvati, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time. The door closed, please, in the back. Derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Now the children cannot be allowed to speak. Please, take them out. We have a room. You can listen there. It will be an interference. Nobody's going to understand what I'm talking about. Thank you very much for your cooperation. We appreciate that very much. Okay, the rear doors can be closed and kept closed during this time. Thank you. Prakashananda Sarasvati, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derided Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of their literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within what? His heart. Yes, within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The key word there is sincere. To be sincere means to be without pretense, to be without hypocrisy, to be genuine. It means you're not doing things to put on a show, you're doing things to please Krishna, and that's all. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, which is not very easy. That was my comment. The Mayavadi philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they be without sufficient education, and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme God, as stated in this verse. The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the supreme truth, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, simply by speculating. For the supreme truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he is not a lover of the supreme truth, he will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth. Only by devotional service is the supreme truth, Krishna, pleased, and by his inconceivable energy he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is the special mercy rendered by the pure, rendered to the pure devotee of Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association, through many, many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal, Vishnu, can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad-gita. By studying the Bhagavad-gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors. Om Agyanat Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmeditem Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances at his lotus feet and beg for his mercy, that I may say something useful and beneficial tonight, so that all of us can profit by it. And I beg for your prayers, all of you. Please, give me your prayers that I may say something useful. The more you pray for me, the more Krishna will respond to those prayers and we will all be benefited. And I will say things that I never said before, which will surprise me completely. So please, do me that favor, do yourself that favor, and do a favor to all those devotees who are tuned in on the internet. Thank you so much. Let us take about 5 seconds to do that one prayer that I beg so that I can say something truly beneficial. My dear Lord Krishna, please, please bless Amala Bhakta Prabhu to speak in such a way that you will speak through him, and you will touch our hearts in such a way that we will come to love you, adore you, surrender to you, and serve you. Thank you very much. Now, coming to tonight's verse. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. We all have this darkness. We've come into this world from the spiritual world originally, and as soon as we entered the material atmosphere, the soul is covered by this darkness. And being covered with this darkness, we mean ignorance. We don't know who we are. Originally, we knew who we are. We knew we were eternal soul. We knew we were connected with Krishna. We knew what the true goal of life was and is, which is to please Krishna through devotional service. We knew that Krishna is Lord. We knew that we are servants of the Lord. We knew all these things, and yet we decided that we wanted to taste what it's like to be a Krishna, to be a Lord, to be a powerhouse. What is it like? What is Krishna tasting? What is he experiencing? What is he feeling? So when that question, when that idea became a preoccupation, and we wanted to no longer be a servant of Krishna, and wanted to be served as a Krishna, I looked at my face, I got scared. So we wanted to be served as a Krishna. Krishna said, you are no longer qualified. You're no longer suitable or fit to live in this eternal world. You must go to the world that I have created for persons who who do not want to serve me, but who want to be served, want to be glorified, want to be honored, want to be applauded, want to be admired, want to be looked up to, want to be venerated, want to be bowed down to. And that's us. We come into this world, we try to be famous, we try to be important, we try to be big earners, millionaires, we have big cars, earn huge salaries, and so forth. For what reason? To feel like a lord. And what does it lead to? A few moments of pleasure. Yes, now I have achieved this. And then what? Anxiety. Well, what's next? And not only that, but somebody is coming up close behind me, is going to achieve what I've achieved, so I have to get far ahead of him. If I don't get far ahead of him, then I won't have that false security that I'm living on. It's false. Because as your powers wane, as your abilities diminish, and your capacity gets less, then you start to lose your skill, you start to lose your abilities. We have all seen these basketball players. They go for 15, 20 years, if that, and then they have to leave. They no longer can be stars. We no longer can be heroes. And then what do you do when you're no longer a hero? Just watch the old videos? That's your whole life? The whole day you spend watching videos, living on your big money that you've saved, watching the crowd roar when you sunk the basket or when you hit the home run? These are very meaningless, very useless and worthless achievements, because they only lead ultimately to dissatisfaction and depression. You gain something and then you lose something. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. Such pleasures of the senses have a beginning and an end, and the wise person does not delight in such. What does he delight in? Permanent pleasure, enduring pleasure, ongoing pleasure, non-stop pleasure. Isn't that what we want? We want to always be happy. You satisfy your tongue. You taste this food, you taste that food, you taste this, that. Finally, you're tired of eating. Yet you still want to be happy. You still want pleasure. You still want to enjoy. So what do? Where do you go? All right, let's listen to some music. So you listen to music 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then what? You're tired of the music. It gave you some pleasure, now no pleasure. So we go from one anxiety to another. You've got the pleasure, now no pleasure. Now what do? Now I'm in anxiety. How can I enjoy? How can I be happy? Okay, let's go to this movie. Comedy. So we laugh. Ha, 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 ha. Okay, go into the next. It's a 15-plex. So you go into for one plex, you go to the next plex. Plex 2. A tragedy. Then go to the next plex. By the time you've gotten to the 4th plex and you've spent 4 hours in the movies, you're exhausted. You don't want to watch any more movies. Now what do I do to continue my pleasure, my happiness? Because we've all come down here to enjoy. Now what is a Lord? A Lord is an enjoyer. He's a proprietor. And he is a knower of everything. So we try to enjoy as much sense pleasure as we can. We try to gain as much property as we can. You may have one home, and then you say, well, you know, I have more money now. Let me buy another home. Let me go to Europe. Let me go to India. So you have 10 homes, and you go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. But really, what is it? What are those homes? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's it. One this way turned, another one this way, one with this kind of a roof, this kind of a roof. What is the difference? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Same. But we're imagining, yes, but I have 2 homes. Now I have 3 homes. Now I have 4 homes. I'm important. People look up to me. People honor me. What is the value of all that? Can you take that with you when you die? What value it will have to you? None whatsoever. People are working for a big zero. You've got it, and then it no longer satisfies. If it doesn't satisfy, what's the point of working for something that you know by its very nature will disappear as far as the pleasure goes? You've got it, and then you lose it. Now you've got this, then you lose it. You get this. Your whole life is nothing but getting, having, and then losing. And the ultimate end is a big, big zero. And you have to come back to this material world to again exercise the same desires that you had, which did not bring you the full, the satisfying, the fulfilling happiness that you sought in this material world. It didn't bring you that. So Krishna consciousness helps us. It helps us by enabling us to connect with, through the Hare Krishna mantra. In my class this morning, I talked all about connecting with the Supreme Lord. Krishna says, one who is not connected with me in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? Can there be happiness if you're always in a state of anxiety, which I just described? You're in a state of uncertainty. You're in a state of doubt. If your life is based on making pretense, how big, how great, how glorious, how wonderful you are, how many people are saying my name, how many times my name is in the paper, the newspapers, how many medals I have from the running race, how many trophies I have, how many PhD certificates I have. What are you going to do with all of that? When you leave the body, it's just there, and if you keep looking at it for 100 or 1,000 years, it will just crinkle. And the little bugs will start to eat it. And that will be your big degree. It's nothing. Don't we want something permanent, something that we can hold on to, something that's glorious, something that will give us ecstasy and bliss and peace and strength and happiness, something that will be within? Krishna says, one whose happiness is within. I was about to quote a very beautiful verse, and somehow it jumped out of my head. Yes, one whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme Lord, and ultimately he attains the Supreme Lord. Isn't that? That's what we should be looking for. A liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying what? The pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized soul enjoys unlimited happiness. For what? He concentrates on whom? The Supreme Lord. That's how we achieve unlimited happiness. And when you are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, and you are concentrating on the mantra, you are concentrating on Krishna, because Krishna is none different from his name. And if you concentrate on the name with love in your heart, love means I am so grateful to receive your name. I appreciate so much the love that you have bestowed upon me. You've given me food and clothing and shelter, education, health, and a temple to come to, a husband or a wife and children, and beautiful weather. It's a little cold, but it's still beautiful. I mean, it really could be you go to England or go to London, it's not as nice as it is here. Always foggy, always chilly, always uncomfortable. So, Krishna has given you all these blessings. He's given you nice clothes to wear, nice shoes to wear, nice car to drive. Some of you may have even a boat, or maybe a Learjet. Whatever. He's given you all these things. Sometimes we think, well, what do you mean he's given it to me? I worked for these things. You worked for these things? Who fed you? Well, I worked and I bought the food. And who planted the food? Well, the farmer. And could the farmer plant the food without the water coming? Without the air? Without the sunshine? No, you're eating because Krishna brought those there. Go to Ethiopia and see how they are eating. Famine, drought. Day after day, people, you look at them, skin and bones. The bones of the ribs are showing. You can do this and you can hear sounds, like on an instrument. It is tragic. And sometimes you send food there, they don't get it because different rebel groups, they take control over it and they eat it for themselves. So we are very, very blessed. We are very, very fortunate. And for that reason we give all credit, everything to Krishna. I'm speaking, how can I speak unless he allows me? I'm looking at here, how can I look unless he allows my eyes to function? There are so many people whose eyes are not functioning. They're blind or half blind. How can I smell this beautiful garland? Who made this garland? Anybody here? Anyway, whoever you are, I compliment you. It's very, very beautiful, and I thank you for it. So, I don't take it for granted. I don't deserve it. But it is being given out of love. So I'm trying to appreciate that love. And when you appreciate Krishna's love for you, then you chant his name with love in your heart. You give your all. My Lord, thank you so much for giving me your holy name, because with and by your holy name I can connect with you. And by connecting with you, what does that happen? Eternality, bliss, love, joy, fulfillment, satisfaction, all these things come to me. If you want ecstasy, you have to connect with Krishna. Because Krishna is Satchidananda, Vigraha. Sat, eternality. Chit, knowledge. Ananda, bliss. So when you connect with bliss, let's say I have a cold hand and a hot hand, I put them together so the two hands connect. And you get the heat or the cold. When you connect with Krishna, you get Sat Chit Ananda. You feel joyful. You feel happy. You feel fulfilled. You feel satisfied. You feel uplifted. You want to do things for people. You love your children. You love humanity. You love the trees. You love the clouds. You love the sun. Because they're all part and parcel of Krishna. And because they're part and parcel of Krishna, you feel you and are part of them. You look at the sun, you feel a connection. You look at the clouds, you feel a connection. You look at this Prabhu, you look at this Mataji, you feel a connection. What is that connection? Brother and sister, all under the parenthood of God, of Krishna. Krishna is our parent, and we're all related. If I feel a relationship with you, and you, how can I ever be hostile to you? The cause of all wars is a lack of Krishna consciousness. People don't feel their relationship. And as a result of not feeling the relationship, they feel separate, they feel distant, they feel envious, they feel hostile, they feel contemptuous. But when you feel connected, when you feel related, you can only love the person. You don't care whether they're black or white or red or green or orange. It doesn't matter what their color is. All you know is they are spirit souls and you're a spirit soul. The living entity. In this conditioned world are my eternal parts and parcels. Or my eternal parts and parcels, Krishna says. So Krishna says they're all a part of me. And if they are all a part of Krishna, we're all a part of Him, then it is our business to worship Him, to glorify Him, to honor Him, to look up to Him, and most important, what? To thank Him. How many of us are thanking Krishna? When you get up in the morning, you have another day. How many thank the Lord? Honestly, how many thank the... We got to hear one person thanks, two persons thank Krishna. We're supposed to be devotees. Now, this talk will be totally worthless and useless unless I get a guarantee from everyone here that the first thing that will come out of your mouth when you wake up tomorrow, my Lord, you've given me another day. Thank you so much. Will I get a guarantee? Will you do that? How many will do that? Well, I want to see more hands. Even the kids, you can train him to. Good. Okay, his hand went up. Yes, we want to thank the Lord. That's our problem. Krishna is saying they're taking everything that I give them for granted, as if they are the doer. They're all important. Please, that door, you must keep it closed. As if they are the doer. They're all important. I'm going to the work. I get a paycheck. I'm a supervisor. I tell him, do this, do that, do that. I'm all important. You're going to die one day. It's coming. It could be tomorrow. King Yudhishthira was asked, what is the most amazing thing that exists in the world? And he answered, the most amazing thing, he said, is that people, although they see individuals dying every day, they think, oh, not me, not me. I'm going to be here a long, long time. A long, over. That's what you think. It's foolishness. We should rather be thinking it could happen in 5 minutes. If it were to happen in 5 minutes, are we attached to Krishna? Are we going to come back? Or will you come back to your own family as a dog? How many want to come back to you? You have your child, you have your, and you leave, and then you come back as a dog, and you become the pet of the family. You don't remember, but all you know is that you want to lick the face of your child whom you were the mother or father of once. What kind of a life is that? Can you make advancement in spiritual life, licking the face as a dog or as a cat? Or maybe you come back as a parakeet. Of course, if you learn the words Hare Krishna as a parakeet, at least the next birth is going to be better. So the point is this, is to make use of every life. Now, if you have problems, and you will have problems, if you don't thank the Lord every day, not every day, every hour, every minute, He's feeding you, clothing you, sheltering you, loving you. So don't think that this can necessarily happen for the rest of your life. A big earthquake comes and for a year you could be out of a lot of things that you have today. I hope it never happens. But if you don't want it to happen, take shelter of Krishna. Now, if you need guidance, you need help, As Krishna says, just you ask me, you come to me, you question me, you beg me, petition me, and I will give you guidance, he says. Krishna is willing to help you. He says in this verse, to show them special mercy, I dwelling in their hearts. So if you have a question and you depend on Krishna, you trust Krishna, because he's all-knowing, he's omniscient, he knows everything. And the result of that is that he will give you the guidance. Generally, he will do it in such a way that you don't even know he's giving you the guidance. And suddenly the answer will pop into your head. Krishna says that I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So if you want to get that remembrance, or you want to get knowledge, then you will get it from Krishna, and you will get it depending upon him. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad-gita? There's too much noise out there. In all activities, thank you. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. I'm going to say that again. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. So if you think you're the doer, if you think you're the controller, you're not going to depend on Krishna. And you're going to meet with different difficulties, trials, tribulations, and tragedy. But if you depend upon Krishna, Krishna tells you right here, that's verse number 57 and 58 of the 18th chapter, you just depend upon me, work under my protection, and I'll guide you, I'll direct you, I'll show you what you need to do to come back to me. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee. Offer obeisances, worship me, thus completely absorbed in me surely. You're going to come back to me. You will be blissful, happy, peaceful, and very, very satisfied. Krishna is an ocean of mercy. He's giving us mercy right this moment. Not because I think I'm such a great speaker, but whatever is coming out from me which is good and useful and beneficial, it comes from Krishna. I didn't concoct this, I didn't create it, it all comes out of this book. It comes by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So we're getting his mercy every moment. And the more we realize this, the more we understand this, the more we appreciate this, the more we feel this, the more Krishna conscious we will become. And as a result, the happier we will become. Let me tell you a little story, brief one. Once there was a king, and you can tell him, someone go inside there, thank you. Once there was a king, and he had a minister. Now the minister had a habit. Whenever anything happened, whether it was good or bad, the minister would say, such is the mercy of God. He always said that, such is the mercy of God. Even when the king would do something very beneficial or helpful or useful, he wouldn't give any credit to the king. He would just say, such is the mercy of God. So the king began to become a little annoyed. What is this? My minister, he's always praising God, glorifying God, honoring God, saying it's all God's mercy. I didn't do anything. I don't get any credit. So it was annoying him. Anyway, one day he decided to go on a hunt. And he would take the minister with him. And he took a few soldiers with him as well. And they were driving along the path. They were on their horses. And down away, maybe about 30 yards away, there was a cobra in the middle of the road. And as soon as the cobra saw the horses, the cobra reared up and spread its hood and began hissing. And as soon as the horse saw the cobra, well, the horse reared, threw its legs up in the air, whinnied, and the king who was sitting on the horse was flung to the ground right in front of the cobra, and his thumb was right near the fangs of the cobra. And when the cobra saw that thumb, he dug his fangs into the thumb of the king. And as soon as that happened, the minister said, "Ah, such is the mercy of God." The king looked at him, and the mercy of God. Now, in order for me to be free of the poison from spreading throughout my body, I'm going to have to cut this finger off. Otherwise, the poison will go all over. So he took out his knife and cut off the thumb. And as soon as he cut the thumb off, the minister says, "Ah, such is the mercy of God." Mercy of God. And then he began to wrap it in his heart, like so. And the king was very angry. And so he said, "I'm your king. I have just lost my thumb because of this cobra bite. And you say this is the mercy of God? How unloyal, how undedicated, how undevoted. Take him," he said to the soldiers that were around him, "take him back to the palace, put him in the dungeon, feed him bread and water. Let's see what mercy of God that is." And the minister again said, "Ah, such is the mercy of God." So the king said, "Yes. Let's see if he says that after the first day of bread and water." So the king went on. He was by himself. And he had this, no thumb, and he just had this big bandage. In about 20 minutes, he was suddenly surrounded by what they call in India the thugs. They worship goddess Kali, and they believe in human sacrifices. So they surrounded the king, and they looked him over. The king could do nothing because there was 100 men. He was just one. And the chief said, "Yeah, he'll do. We can use him as a sacrifice because we're getting ready to make it." So they took the king and they took him to the water. They took his clothes off and he bathed. And then they put some new clothing on him, like a white sheet. And they brought him to the chief priest. So the priest looked him over. He looked at his eyes, opened his mouth, checked his teeth, because it's going to be an offering to Kali. You have to offer her something beautiful, something good, something substantial, a healthy body, no defects. So he looked at the legs. He said, "Yes, good chest, good chin, good teeth." And then he went to the hands. He's missing a thumb. No, we can't use him. We can't use him for the sacrifice. Kali would be offended, and she will chastise us, and she will curse us. No, you have to get somebody else. Get rid of him. So the king says, "You're not going to offer me in the sack?" "No, get out of here." The king walked away, and he walked over to his horse, got on his horse, and he was still thinking. He was right. It was the mercy of God. If I had my thumb, I would be dead in a few moments. It's the mercy of God. It's true. But there is still one question on my mind. And he went back to the palace. He went down into the dungeon. And he told the minister, "Everything you said is right." And he explained the whole story to him. He said, "See, I told you. It was the mercy of God." He says, "But I don't understand one thing. When I told my soldiers to take you back to the palace, feed you bread and water in the dungeon, you said, 'Such is the mercy of God.' How could that be the mercy of God?" The minister said, "Well, if you hadn't done that, and I would have been with you, who do you think they would have used instead of you? Such is the mercy of God." 2 thumbs up. So that's a true fact. The mercy of God is operating every moment. And to the degree that we become Krishna conscious, to that degree we will not only sense it, not only feel it, but we will always feel obliged to Krishna to offer something to him. You can offer something when you offer to your deities. You can offer something in the hunti box. You can offer something to the priests. You can offer, there's so many ways you can give pleasure to Krishna. Anytime you listen to his pastimes, you're giving pleasure to Krishna. And I brought all of those CDs. You're welcome to obtain them. We've now put them on USBs, so you can have everything in just this amount of space. And I'm thankful to all my computer genius friends over here. They suddenly came up with this idea. Instead of you going around with a big stack of discs, you can get it all in one little USB. So I thank you very much for your coming. Are there any questions or any doubts or any uncertainties? Please raise your hand. We'll pass the mic to you. Don't talk too close like this. It gets distorted. Any questions? Please don't feel shy. Please don't feel bashful. I'm giving you 10 more seconds. 1, 2. There's a question. Thank you. Once you put a time limit, then everything gets done quickly.
Krishna Prabhuji, thanks a lot for the nice pastime story. Prabhu, has there been moments like in your life that you've come to the realization that such is the mercy of God?
I'm not hearing what you're saying now. Maybe a little louder, but away from the mic. Good and loud. Thank you.
Okay. Better, Prabhu? Okay.
Good.
Can you tell us a past time that you have realized the same kind of realization that such is the mercy of God, the weird situations that was out of place, but it ended up in a nice way?
A personal story?
Yeah.
You want to hear a personal story?
Sure.
Do we have enough time? I can tell it in probably 5 minutes. Or maybe less. Before I came to Krishna consciousness, before I started spiritual life, I suddenly had a realization, like an epiphany, that what I was doing, I used to be a bodybuilder. You wouldn't know it from looking at me. But I was. I was about 30 pounds heavier. I had big muscles, biceps, all that kind of nonsense. So, yes, I did. I walked around like an ape, my arms like this, and so forth. And I thought I was really improving my life. Until finally I was reading, somebody gave me a book and said, "You're wasting your life." And they explained why and this. And I left all of that. I left all my friends. I said, this is nonsense. This is all what they call narcissism. Love of the body, a body that's going to die. Why should I fall in love with this? Better I try to find out who God is, why I'm here, why everybody is afraid. So that became my focus. So what happened was that I decided I would come to India, but I wanted to train for that. I wanted to go to India and live in the forest. Now, it's not easy to live in the forest if you spend most of your whole life in an apartment. So that was going to have to be a gradual thing. So anyway, I had a little, what they call, it wasn't exactly a motorcycle. They called them mopeds. Does anybody know what a moped is? It's a little like a motor scooter. And so you drive it. So I decided that I would go to Lake Arrowhead, which was about 75, 100 miles away from where I lived in Los Angeles. And I lived in Venice Beach at that time. And I went there and I lived in the forest for a day here, I lived in the forest a day there. And then I was coming back. And I was driving this moped. I forgot to mention that the moped, there was some type of a screw that had become loose. And it has right in front of you the engine. Now what happened is the engine started swinging back and forth. I'm serious. Started going back, and here I am, believe it or not, in those days they didn't bother you. I was driving on the side of the freeway. Moped doing 35 miles per hour. And I got up in Arrowhead and I was coming back. And as I was coming back, I was trying to find my way. I couldn't find the freeway that I needed. So I pulled the motorbike over to the side. Somebody can go and take care of that, please. I pulled my motorbike over to the side of the road, and I opened up the map, and I started reading where exactly I was and where I had to go. But I was still a little uncertain, still a bit confused. about 75 yards away, there was a little shopping center. You know, they call those little centers, not a mall, but a little mini mall. And there was a gas station there. And a man came from the gas station, he came walking, actually jogging, and he came jogging toward me. And I was wondering, why is he coming towards me? So he came right up to me. He was older than me. I was at that time going on 25. He was about 50, 55. And he says, "Hello, son, could I be of help to you?" So I said, "Well, I'm having a problem trying to find Los Angeles. I'm here, but I don't know how to get back to the freeway, the Hollywood freeway." So he pointed it out to me. "Well," he said, "you're here. All you have to do is go here and then take the left turn over here. And then that will put you on." I said, "Thank you so much. I really appreciate this." And he said, "Is there anything else I can do for you?" I said, "Well, I've got a little problem." "You're from that service station?" He says, "Yes, that's my service station." I said, "You see this engine?" And I started to move it, and I pushed it, and it was moving back and forth. I said, "I'm driving it, going back and forth, and I'm afraid at any moment it may just fall right onto the freeway. You think maybe you can help me to get it fixed?" He says, "Of course, come with me." So he led me into the service station, and he took it and put it, near the lift that they have. And in about 10, he took the motor apart, and he saw that a screw had come loose inside. So he took the screw and tightened it back and put it back, and then 2 other screws. In 10, 15 minutes it was done. He says, "It's as good as new now." I says, "Thank you so much." Now, I took out my wallet. Of course, I was trying to save all my money for India. So I was a little bit of a cheapskate then. Nonetheless, I felt his love, his affection, his kindness. And I said, "Let me at least pay you something for your time and your trouble." I figured I would give him at least $5 because he could save my life. He says, No. I did this out of love for you." I said, "But you don't even know me." He says, "I don't have to know you." He said, "I did this. You were in trouble. You had some difficulty. And I wanted to relieve your difficulty." So I said, "But how can I pay you back?" He says, "You can pay me back by doing the same thing for someone else who's in trouble and don't ask him for anything. And everyone will become very loving that way." Well, I must say that made such a deep, firm, intense impression in my heart. I said to myself, "My dear Lord, I know now that you are looking out for me. This is how you are convincing me, giving me faith, giving me realization that you do exist and that you are, in effect, protecting me." There are other examples of this which Krishna used to bring me closer and closer to him. So in that way, and I never forgot that man, I never forgot the story. And anytime I get an opportunity to try to do some service, do some help, wherever it is, and whatever knowledge I have, I offer it. We all can learn by that little story. Because every time you do something beneficial without looking for anything in return, you have to get some money, you have to get some... don't even think of thanks. Because it is in the giving that it is in the getting comes. The more you give, the more you're going to get. Virtue is its own reward. Devotional service is its own reward. Krishna will reciprocate and respond and enable you and help you. He will give you so much more than what you gave. And we need only to develop our faith in this. Okay? Does that satisfy you? Is that enough of a story? Okay, he put his palms together, so I'm thankful. Yes. Is there any more? Yes, Prabhuji. Oh, here's a question here.
Prabhu, you made your hair...
Wait, we need a mic. We want everybody to hear all over the world. In China, they're listening too. Go ahead.
You might have heard so many... you might have heard similar thing from Christian priests and so many churches you might have gone in your early ages. That didn't impress you, but some track from Hare Krishna impressed you?
Well, that came later. First I was in the yoga system, Ashtanga Yoga. That I was first. I told you I was a weightlifter, bodybuilder, so I needed to go to something that was physical, and Hatha Yoga was perfect for that. You know, you're always breathing and this and stretching this way. So it was the natural transition to go from that to that. But then again, after you develop a certain amount of peace, and I had a very large yoga center. We had about 400 students, and it was back in the 1970s at that time. Finally, I reached the point where I wanted to get to a higher level of consciousness, higher level of connection with God. And somebody sent me, Brahmananda sent me a Bhagavad-gita. I looked through this. He sent it free. All these things are coming free. That means Krishna said, I'm not allowing any obstacles to stop you from coming. You got this 1,100-page book, this huge, huge book, free. And then I ordered the Krishna book from that, and I read about Krishna. All I could think of is one thing: I want to be in those pastimes. And they were so charming, so delightful, so uplifting, so stunning, so amazing, so astonishing, and so heartwarming. I wanted to be a part of that. And Krishna allowed me. And so I gave up my position. I had a high position there. I was a vice president of a very big temple in India. And I was also basically the temple president in New York. And I gave it up to one of my associates and came here to Los Angeles and became a brand new Bhakta.
Hare Krishna.
Bhakta means you start all over again. Nobody honors you. Nobody bows down to you. Nobody says, oh, I was a sannyasi. Now you know what sannyas means? A renunciate. I renounced my renunciation. And I got something better. I got Srila Prabhupada. I got Krishna. I got all you wonderful people as my friends. It was the greatest decision Krishna enabled me to make in my entire life. And I'm so thankful for it. Any other? There was another hand. Yes, Prabhuji, get the microphone.
This could be a difficult one, Prabhu.
I'm not hearing. Yeah.
So there are so many sad things happening in the world, right, including in the United States.
I'm not hearing. You've got to talk louder or bring up the volume some way.
So I was saying there are so many sad things happening in the world, right, including here in the United States. So I was thinking, can we say them to be the mercy of Krishna? If not, how can we explain them?
Okay, you want to understand how can that be the mercy of Krishna? All these difficulties, tribulations, chaos, troubles, shootings in movie theaters, 13 children being killed. You want to know all that? You know, that's not one class, that's a seminar. I'm not kidding. I can give it to you in a nutshell, but it will lead to 100 more questions. But I will give it to you in a nutshell simply because to let you know there is an answer, and I can definitely give it to you. Many people in their past lives did some wrong things, bad things, evil things, for which they never were punished. They weren't punished because karma is such that you can only crowd into a single life. If you're due to live only 50 years, 20 years, 70 years, you can put only so many karmic reactions in that life. Because then after you die, then you get another body. So if you committed a crime, or you committed a wrong, you did something that you should not have done, and you were never punished for this, but Krishna saw it. He knows you did it. And although you may feel at that time, you see, nobody punished me, I escaped, I'm the Lord of all I survey. I can do what I like. I did this wrong, I harmed them, but it didn't matter because I'm smart. I outfoxed them. I tricked them. And I won. Now, next lifetime, Krishna plans for you to get your comeuppance. Comeuppance means your so-called reward or the result that you did not get in your previous life. So, you killed somebody, okay? Maybe you killed several people. And this person also killed somebody or several people. They never paid the price. They never were punished. Now the time has come to be punished for what they got. So, 10 people go into a movie theater, and here is a crazy person. Actually, he was highly intelligent based on his grades in school. But intelligence, as we said in the book, it doesn't mean anything unless it is characterized by pure goodness, or even the mode of goodness, or goodness and passion. This person was characterized by passion and ignorance. So he got the idea, for whatever reason, that he could determine who will live and who will die. It's a very heady, intoxicating feeling that I'm the Lord. I can decide whether you will live, you will live. All I have to do is get my guns. You're dead. You see? Your life was dependent upon me. This is an illusion. This person wanted to kill to prove to himself that he was a Lord. And he was determined to kill. Krishna did not give him that idea. That was his own idea. But what Krishna did is that he provided him with the opportunity to kill those persons who deserved to be killed, because they had killed someone in the past and they never were punished for it. So he uses someone who desires to do evil. He's not going to use you to do it because you want to do virtue. He's not going to use you because you love Krishna. He will never use any of you to do those things. He will use someone who wants to do that, and therefore he will use that person, and you will find chaos. Chaos in the world is the result of what we do in the past. But you can also attenuate or lessen chaos by pleasing Krishna. Now, let me give you a very good example. We all have seen this on television. We've seen tornadoes, we've seen hurricanes. Did you ever notice how the tornado does not necessarily move in a straight line? It will knock down one or two buildings, then go back, go this way, come back this way, knock down another building, go all the way back, knock down a building here, miss 4 buildings here. Do you think that's an accident? It's not an accident. Krishna is in charge. The demigods have been given their orders. Whose home to smash? That's why it's so important to practice your Krishna consciousness, so that you become pleasing to Krishna. And even if you have some bad karma, he can forgive you for that karma as a result of you performing devotional service. So all these bad things are coming as a result of bad or evil or wrong actions which were not atoned for which there was no penance paid, and you had to get the result sometime or other. So Krishna is giving it to those. You might say, well, he's only a child. He's a child. He didn't do anything. Those little girls who got killed, they weren't always children. In their previous life, they were adults. They may have been soldiers who went into, for example, Korea, or they went into Vietnam, and there were innocent. I'm not saying this was the case, but there were civilized persons, innocent people, and because they were trigger happy, they said, well, they're North Vietnamese, let's just kill them. Well, that's a sin. And you're going to get the same in some time. And there are many soldiers who were punished for doing just that, because they misused their position. Is it clear to you now? Do you get the idea that nothing happens by accident, nothing happens by chance, everything happens by our volition, and the volition or the willfulness that we have should be to serve, to love, to adore Krishna. I have used this as a motto. I am nothing. I have nothing. I know nothing, I do nothing, and I want nothing except pure love of Krishna, to please him, to loving service. When you say, I have nothing, you don't have anything. You have what Krishna is allowing you to have. I am nothing, your little position will be gone when you're older. I do nothing, well, you can't do anything without the mercy of Krishna. I already mentioned that. You know nothing, you only know what Krishna is allowing you to know. If he dulls your brain, you can't understand anything. And you want nothing except what? The only thing that will give you happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction, bliss, and that is pure love of Krishna in service to him. If you do that, you will have everything that you need and then some. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.